In progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the, do you have an echo?
I do.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I think it's off now.
How's that?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Southborough Planning Board. We are now in session. First item on the agenda is 4042 Central Street. Nothing has progressed from our last meeting on this, so there's really nothing to discuss or report. Next up is 96 Mount Vickery Road, Ruby Estates, release of lot. Good evening, gentlemen. We'll have Karina give us an update on what's transpired, and welcome.
Hi,
And this is your brother, right?
Tony.
Tony.
Yep.
We don't see much of Tony.
No. Only when I rung on your door when I hit the poor cat. I'm so sorry.
It's good. All good. All right.
So, 96 Mount Vickery is a 6-lot subdivision that was permitted in 23, I believe, 2021? 21. And the roadway, Lamson Drive, is intended to become public in the future at some point. So when Bartolini Builders, which is Mike Bartolini's company, started construction, they got all the way through putting infrastructure in and a binder surface for the roadway. That's typically the time when developers ask for a release of lots so that they can get released from the covenant and then start building and selling the lots under certain other restrictions, building permits, etc. So having a new DPW superintendent and our regulations in general, we require interim as-builts now so that when a covenant is released, when the lots are released, we have to make sure that the service, the public services for the people who are going to move in there are proper and appropriate and exist and all that. So interim as-bills were submitted. There was some back and forth, some work. Nitch did an as-built review. That since has been satisfied. There was an email that went out about a possible drainage easement conflict. That's been resolved. Peter Bemis, who's the engineer who was doing the as-built for Mike, showed that it was in essence fine. The detention basin didn't reach out beyond the easement line on lot number 4. So we want to make sure that was all proper before they start producing deeds and that everything's reflected there. So with a lot release, we had Niche Engineering also do a bond estimate. And if you recall, several meetings ago, the planning board accepted the bond for the $300 and something thousand for the remaining work to be done. And along with that bond, they had to provide a surety agreement that has all the conditions of how it will be satisfied and what happens after and all that. So Mike Barley provided that surety agreement. It went to town council for review, went back and forth for some minor things, and we got final word back from town council Jay Talman that everything seemed satisfactory. So Michael provided a clean copy for me today for signatures. I actually have 2 copies, which the planning board signs. And we also have, if the planning board votes to release the 6 lots, which are all the lots that are there, we have a form that Mike will take and get, Colleen will notarize it here with signatures. And then he will have to we'll file it with the town clerk, and then you have to pick up an attested copy and file and record that at the registry of deeds. Right? So everything's in order, everything's in place. We have the surety agreement. I distributed it to the planning board members this afternoon, and so it's up to you to decide.
All right, great. Thank you, Karina. Thank you for getting everything in order. So there's 2 votes that will take place tonight. One is, as Karina said, to accept the surety agreement, and the second would be to release the lots, which would then get notarized and filed with the town clerk and recorded. So any questions or comments? Deb?
No, I've read the surety agreement, and I'm in favor of releasing the lots tonight.
Thank you. Marnie?
No questions.
Alan?
I did notice that on the merchant's bonding company says bond number draft. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to get filled in. I'm not sure if we actually have like the final bond number and stuff like that, just because it's like, I'm not an attorney, so don't take my opinion. I just happened to notice it said draft, and I don't know if this is getting revised since, or if this is notified.
What document, Alan? In the surety agreement itself?
It's the
Or-
one titled, the one that ends in from Bartolini.pdf.
Just tell me what the can you say what the document is? Like, is it in the
It's a
surety?
PDF from Merchants Bonding Company. The file name ends in from Bartolini. It's a one-pager, has the Merchants logo at the top middle.
And where do you see
Dated
the word?
5/26/2026.
And is the draft in the top right corner?
Yes,
That's a superseded. We have one that has the actual
Yeah.
bond number in the top right corner.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was in the email today at the end of the surety agreement.
got it.
This bond
Well,
is
then
in
ignore
there.
that. I was going off one from, I guess, earlier today. And then I didn't find anything clear, or I may have overlooked it, about the requirement of an HOA for the stormwater.
The,
Twin
Go
Brook
ahead.
Condition.
If I may, that is in the definitive subdivision decision. There's a condition for that,
Okay,
which they still have to abide by. This is just letting them move forward with building homes and
Okay.
selling lots.
that's all I had. Thanks.
Right, you agree, Mike, with that?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
None from me.
Great, thank you. And I have nothing either, so we're looking for 2 votes. First vote being to accept the surety agreement.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the surety agreement dated 6/22/2026 for 96 Mount Vickery Road, Ruby Estates.
Second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if I see none, roll call. Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Belniak, yes?
Strong, yes.
Thank you. And the second would be a vote to release the lots.
I make a motion to release the 6 lots.
I'm gonna reference some of
Let's
that.
see.
You can just read that too.
Shown on the plans titled definitive subdivision plans for Ruby Estates, dated November 19th, 2020, with latest revision date of March 17th, 2021. Should I read the whole thing?
You don't have to, and as long as it's all 6 lots.
Yeah.
Yes.
She said that, yeah.
Okay.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Belniak, yes?
Strong, yes.
Great, thank you.
So
All right.
we'll I'll have the planning board sign this, before we leave today,
Okay,
and then I'll give you a copy tomorrow.
tomorrow.
How's that? And I'll get this filed with the town clerk tomorrow too. Colleen will notarize it once they sign.
Okay.
So there's 2.
Oh, well.
You can sign it now?
Let's sign it
Okay.
now. Let's take 2 seconds and sign it now.
All right, they're all here.
Are people
Do you see
using
me?
black or blue
Taking care of
pens?
business.
Blue or black?
I'll use, what do you get, blue? I'll use blue.
Okay. Yes, that would be good. Thanks, Colleen.
Unrelated to the surety, just out of curiosity, I think I told you I live near there. When is the
Two
demolition
copies of this,
happening
I want
of the
to
yellow
sign.
house that's on the corner of Lamson and Vickery?
Not entirely sure yet.
Okay, I was just curious because I walk by it all the time, so.
Okay.
You wanna move into it?
Say again?
You wanna move into it?
Absolutely not. But thanks for the offer.
All right.
Yeah, here you go. Just keep it consistent. You keep it, you have to sign the next one.
Colleen's gonna notarize this now.
Okay, we didn't put the date on it though. We just need to have the date. Above the names.
Yep.
And
They're all done.
goes back to green, okay.
Six. 22nd okay. There you go.
That was in passing.
I'm just gonna put a date at the bottom.
Great.
And just give me one second. to-do off the to-do list.
Yeah,
Good
I
for
like
you.
that. Yep,
Yeah, let's just do
yep.
that.
Takes 2 seconds, so
Yeah, make them come back as well.
I don't know that there's too many people out there that are,
Here's
you
your
know, totally
copy of the
fascinated
survey,
by
and we'll get
our,
you
our
these
meeting that, you
tomorrow,
know,
'cause it has
2
to
minutes
file
will make a
with the
difference.
Okay. So this is a short meeting.
And then I'll grab.
Yeah, and, let me see one more thing, I just wanna double check.
Oh, gosh.
It'd be like this big table,
Yeah.
big map, and everybody would be all over the map. And if you were watching the meeting, you'd be like, no, I didn't. I mean, in the back of the room, yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. You just give me a call. All right, awesome.
Great. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Have a great night.
Nice to see you.
Okay. Next up, I'll wait for Karina to come back so she can give the non-update for 22 Turnpike Road. They're looking to continue with no testimony. But I'll just see if Karina wants to add anything to that. I don't think so.
Okay. Great.
All right. Thank you, Colleen. Karina, is there anything to add on 22 Turnpike other than that they're looking to continue without testimony?
No,
Okay,
that's it.
that's it. So looks like their extended date will be fine till the next meeting, so
Okay, so the next meeting's the 13th?
13th, yep.
July 13th, so I make a motion to extend the public hearing on 22 Turnpike Road, Golf Range, modification to major site plan approval to July 13th at 7? 6:45?
6:45.
6:45 PM.
Same time.
Second?
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes?
Houlihan, yes?
Belniak, yes?
Tron, yes.
All right, thank you. Next up is 154 Turnpike Road. They've also requested to continue without testimony. And their dates also do line up for the extension, so.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to extend the public hearing for 154 Turnpike Road, non-compliance modification to major site plan approval to July 13th at 6:50? 7 PM.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes?
Houlihan, yes?
Belniak, yes?
Tron, yes.
Um, That takes us down to, was 250 coming, Karina? George Bond, we were gonna move him up, but I don't see him.
Let's see if he's in the attendees.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just, will you
He's
let
in
us know, Colleen, when he jumps in, if he comes in? I thought he was coming in
I
person,
think
but,
he's coming in person.
okay. We'll just continue on then. Subdivision rules and regulations update. Is there anything, Alan?
I do not have one. I've been waylaid by work past couple weeks, but there is some relief, so I should be able to work on it this week in time for our next meeting.
That's perfect, thank you. Planning board role in zoning enforcement. So I haven't had a chance yet to meet with the building inspector, but I did speak to him. We've set up a date, and I also suggested to him that I think it would be beneficial going forward if we had a once-a-month meeting with Karina and I and the building department, just to maybe just talk about anything we can do to collaborate better, any concerns that either may have. And he actually said in his email, there's a few things. Karina had mentioned the bylaw for the ADU.
Yep, there's, signs.
Yep.
He's looking possibly for a sign bylaw for something, signs on Route 9 that, would go to site plan instead of the non-compliant structure where it goes to ZBA, and here it may be a little more robust.
Yeah.
And, there was another one,
There was the ADU.
short-term rentals.
Yeah,
So the
short-term rentals.
Airbnbs, an example was, I believe it was Malden, or Methuen,
Yep,
one of
Malden.
those two. I think I sent the sample.
Yeah.
So those are kind of on the horizon.
Yeah, so just thought it'd be a good idea going forward, just to kind of stay on top of things from our perspective and their perspective as well. So we're actually meeting the 8th, so we'll have something to, share with the board at our meeting on the 13th. So,
So I do have a question.
Sure.
Since we're talking about zoning enforcement, Colleen started to put together a site plan compliance kind of spreadsheet, and this is kind of like a long-term project, I would say, of sites that we know they're out of compliance, whether we've received complaints, zoning enforcement officer may have received complaints, or just we know that they haven't come in for modification yet. Does this have anything to do with this topic, for these meetings that you'll be having with the building commissioner?
sure.
Is that something that could be brought to that meeting?
Yeah, so looking for out of compliance sites.
Well, I think, Colleen, you might want to speak to what you're actually building, because I know you shared it with me.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a heads up to the planning board, so we know when a proponent is coming in, that their site is already out of compliance. So you may know that, Karina might know that, but, board may not know that. So this is sort of a,
Okay.
kind of comprehensive, so we know what we're going, obviously as part of that process, we want to get the, get the site back into compliance. So, is there anything to discuss there with building commissioner? Is that something that could be brought up? Oh, yeah, so how
I
do you
think
see
so.
this working, Colleen?
I think, actually, it's just a beginning. We have a list of things, and we don't know exactly what's non-compliant or what yet. But I was thinking, if you could find out a couple of projects that Mark knows, we could start with those,
Okay.
on top of what we know. And then we'll just keep in touch with them and keep adding. If anybody drives around and sees something, we could add it, and then look into it and see how out of compliance, pull the old plans,
Okay.
all that good
So
stuff.
can you share the spreadsheet with me? And what we'll do is
I haven't seen it yet.
okay, yeah, so we'll take a look at it, and then, it's a spreadsheet that,
All the
once
projects.
we look at it, we can, share with the, building department, and it's something ongoing that we can all be working off
Yeah,
of.
it'd be a working document.
Working,
So
yep,
to clarify, I keep a binder on each project once it moves into construction. It goes from a file folder to a binder, so I can take it with me. And in those, I keep a decision and the approved plan. And the decision identifies what conditions they have to meet, in addition to whatever the plans show physically. So I track that with a date when it comes in, and then an arrow that says still pending. So we have all those, and then behind my desk I have a box of non-compliance issues that I keep files on, so that when
Famous
I have
box.
a moment, either a fire comes up from, I get it through the OpenGov portal that says, why can't we have our building permit? And then I go look and I say, well, you still owe me this. And then I write it in there, I email them and talk to Mark about it. So this spreadsheet, once it gets more populated with the right columns and everything, right now it's being populated with all the potential projects from day one, from the 80s.
Yeah, they go back. I just pulled them over with the dates.
okay.
Yeah, so Colleen, we have a table of contents that you can kind of import that. So the next thing is to say, all right, what are the milestones? Because each decision has some basic things, but then there are some specific things, like they're going to provide 6 trees as a mitigation for something else, as a negotiation, whatever. So those have to be tracked. So it's gonna take a little bit of time to populate it, but we started with at least a skeleton structure, and then we'll all be able to tap into it, because once we get to the OneDrive, as opposed to the Dropbox, you'll have access to those files, so you can, if you wanna find something, oh, where's that project, you can look there. The other way is to, if you go onto the OpenGov portal, you can type the address in for the property, and the permits are there.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily say, unless you read what we're saying to each other there, you don't know what's missing. So it's just kind of a culmination of setting it up, getting some feedback, but we have a lot of this, we know a lot of the things that are non-compliant already, which we can start populating.
So I think that's a good first step, we can work towards that, but also, if there's things that members of the board think of, either during the meetings or after the meetings, shoot Karina a note, and we'll make sure that, these are things, again, it's a great opportunity to collaborate, so, any questions or even a concern, just.
And I do keep a general complaint folder, like, for example, in years past, one of the members would say, oh, you know, those lights are pointing upward.
Yeah.
And so I would write that down and say, okay, as soon as we have an avenue to take care of it, we'll address it. So this is that avenue that's that's solidifying over there, which is good.
So our first meeting is the 8th, so that's kind of exciting, and they're actually happy to do it. It's gonna be Mark and Laura from CBA, because she's coordinating all the zoning things, so
Yeah.
that'll be great.
And thanks, Colleen, for
Yes,
spearheading
absolutely.
the setup too.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Colleen.
So-
And Debbie.
And,
thank you.
yep, so if you could just, I'd love to take a look at it
Yep.
and see before, okay, that's great. So,
We just have to advance it a little bit more.
Yep.
There's not much to,
okay.
so.
So, tree planting program. So Chris had sent over, he had mentioned at the April meeting about this smaller program that they were gonna do that, let me quote him correctly here, that it's a first step to getting something in place while the broader long-term planting program is developed. So the discussion tonight, it's kind of twofold. I want to first talk about the $5,500 and whether we approve that, because we have to approve that. And then I want to talk about like the broader, longer term, and I know Debbie has some thoughts on that, and I'd like to talk to the board about allowing Debbie to be the liaison, because she's worked on some of this with them already. So let's start with the proposal first. Sabrina, do you want to say anything, or do you want me to just jump in on that?
Jump right in.
Okay.
It's a pretty, not too complicated. I know it's a new kind of scope. You know what I mean? We don't often see if someone's gonna go out and look at 25 trees and whatever like that. But it's pretty straightforward. The cost seems in line with what they're doing. It's kind of like a pilot in a sense for the bigger picture.
Okay, so just a couple quick things. So it's $5,500. They're going to be reviewing 10 to 15 streets that have a low canopy cover and identifying approximately 25 potential planting locations. So Debbie had a question that I had asked Chris. She had a couple questions, and Chris responded to them. That Debbie wanted to know what the 10 to 15 streets were, and to confirm that the 25 sites referenced are actually 25 trees that would be planted. So Chris's response back was this afternoon, once they were involved, I asked Davey to look at our streets, starting from the town center and working outward to find suitable locations for the first wave of planting, while a larger scale study plan is constructed. If there is input from the planning board on streets, I'm sure we will and can have a meeting with Davey before starting. That would be great. I look forward to any input. This I can confirm. There'll be sites recommended as part of the plan, and my intent is to have locations predetermined so that when trees are donated, we have locations ready that are viable long-term and in the best interest of the town and the tree. Those would be locations for street tree replacements, The town would now have predetermined locations and species-specific option. As a tree city, I feel this is an important step forward while a larger town-wide inventory and replanting plan is constructed. I hope this helps. So per the town meeting with the bylaw, when the article was introduced, it was for $30,000 for scenic road trees. Planning board has to sign off on expenditures. If it's a non-scenic road, planning board just gets a report. The town administrator, tree warden can authorize those. So, as we're not sure yet with these, Chris is asking for planning board support on this expenditure. And then we'll get to the second piece with the larger plan. So, questions, comments, Debbie?
Okay, well, thank you, Chris. So I'm pretty excited by this. I think we have to start somewhere, and I can tell Chris is enthusiastic about this. I did have those questions. That's fine with me, and I'm happy to endorse the $5,500. I had been suggesting that the group that they're using is Davey Tree Service, I think they're called, or Davey Tree Group, and it's the same group, I think, that did sort of the taking the pictures of trees as they used the GoPros. They were going down the streets. I'm not sure if that was for the same project as the sidewalk, or that it's a combination or something like that, but as they were taking photos of the street, they were taking photos of the trees, and it looks like they have identified them, because somewhere along the line we received an Excel spreadsheet with like 1,000 trees, and it's called public shade trees or something like that. I don't think they had roads on them, so there was a different set of ID numbers. But I think this is the first step in putting together what's known as urban forest management plan, or just simply a tree plan. And that's where we could put a GIS tree layer on, on our GIS system, you could, it's like looking down at the canopy and seeing where around town are the, is there heavily populated trees and where there's not. The picture that he provided of Moulton Street is quite striking. And I know Harris and others in that area, they just don't have a lot of trees. But the thing I'm looking forward to is that next step. So I agree, I endorse what Chris is trying to do. I would like to know the streets, and I hope that they're scenic roads, to be honest. But I think where we'll have to get to is, what's going to be the method to determine where the plantings will occur? Should we focus on scenic roads because that is a primary element, trees and stone walls? Or, are there certain pockets like historic sections or downtown area? So this is what the plan part is all about, is like, what are we gonna do next? And, also, how's this gonna be funded? Will we have to ask for money through a warrant article in the future, or is this something that Bill can put into the DPW plan moving forward? So I got a lot of questions, but, I'm happy to start with what Chris is proposing.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. A great topics that you've raised and really good questions. I do think there's an element of just community feedback too, because I do think those low canopies, many of them are not scenic streets, but I think they could serve to have, they could become quite attractive streets if they had some nice trees on them. I agree. Thanks, Chris, for putting this together, to talking with Davy Group to be able to kind of put a plan in place. I think it's reasonable approach, and it at least establishes the first step towards something. So, no other comments.
Thank you. Alan?
I don't have any questions, but to echo Marty, great job taking the first step, putting the plan together, Chris, so thank you.
Great. Tom?
Just some background, has Southborough undertaken this type of project before, planting trees? Do we know?
Yes, and may I?
Absolutely.
And
Go
if
ahead.
we have we learned any lessons
On a
from the
very
first time
small
around?
scale. So when I first started, our previous chair, Don Morris, encouraged for planning to set up like a tree donation fund. We have $30 in it. Okay. So
It's a start.
yeah, so it was a tree planting program. It's actually still on the website somewhere. There's a form that you go in and you say, I want to donate a tree, or I want to donate the, money towards tree planting. And there's a fund set up. And so I think that's going into the same pocket or the wallet, or whatever, the pocketbook where that money's being held. But we have 30. That is still there. It just hasn't been really pushed since all kinds of things
So
went
that
on.
was our first attempt.
But that was kind of a first one, and then we were
Okay.
at that time we were looking to do become Tree City USA community,
Yes.
which you have to apply for every year. And in that application, you have to, and Colleen does that every year for us and gets us renewed and continued approval. And you have to show certain things. There is a budget in the DPW line, a budget line item, and when we first started, it was like $60,000, but that was for removal and planting, and I would say a majority went for removal, because that's priority when something's falling down or broken or something. So they're small steps, and then we did get an article passed for supporting the Tree City USA. I think it's chapter 153 in the code, or 53, it's one of those two. Then we also researched and found out what streets are actually scenic, so that we knew when an application had to come through the planning board for a consolidated meeting. So lots of things have happened, and they're slowly ramping up, and now with Chris Leroy's help and, his dedicated attention to these things, and he communicates with us very well now, and when there's an imminent hazard, he's required to let us, and he does, and then we forward it to the planning board. So every once in a while you see this tree was taken down, it's an imminent hazard. The tree policy says he just has to let us know when it's imminent. So when the planning board members get calls from the public, they're informed. When someone says, why is that tree? They can answer that and be informed. So lots of things.
Thank you.
And I'll add to that too. So over the past couple of years, National Grid has taken down a lot of trees in town, and they have agreed to supply replacement trees. So that's part of this whole process, And, you know, with our 154 Turnpike Road, the tree hearing we had, there was 6 3-inch caliber trees. So you include those in, they're getting these trees, but they don't have anywhere for them to go. So this is a great first step. So
Thank you.
I hope that answered
Yeah,
some of your
thanks for
questions.
the background. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I am also supportive of this. I think it's a great first step. And I had the same questions as Debbie as we look to the future. How is it going to be funded? I don't think the balance of the 30,000 from the warrant article is going to cover a whole lot as we go forward. So I think that kind of plays into the second part of this equation with the liaison piece. So that being said, it seems like we're all in agreement. So Karina, does he prefer us to take a motion for the expenditure that we approve?
I think he would, and just one more point is
Sure.
that what they look at when they're considering where to put a tree is utilities overhead, sidewalk conflicts that create problems later with root growth.
Yep.
And then there's, at some point, it's on a list that we work on the town's cross-section, the required cross-section for new roadways, that we give it enough room so that there is room for sidewalk and a tree without those future conflicts. So yes, I think he'd prefer a vote, so it's official, and I'll
Okay.
draft a notice of vote.
Okay, so so we want to take a vote. I want to make a motion to approve the tree warden's street tree planting plan with Davy tree proposal dated, I'm not sure what the date on it is, May 6th, 2026, for $5,500 for project total.
Second.
Great, is motion a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Lehan, yes.
Belniak, yes?
Brown, yes.
Great, thank you. And the second piece to this is, and Debbie kind of talked about it a little bit, is we look towards the long-range plan. And Debbie has been working behind the scenes on this for a long time as well. So I would like to suggest that, you know, as they start planning how they want to do this and what they're looking for specifics and everything with the plan, that Debbie represent the planning board and be involved in that process. She can report back to us, but, you know, she has all the knowledge to do this, and so far she's asked all the questions I would want to know. So if everybody's in agreement, we don't need a vote, but we'll just, it looks like everybody's shaking their head yes.
Yes,
So
thank
Deb, if
you.
you're,
yours.
it's all yours. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So you can reach out and let Chris know that you're gonna be, or Karina can. Okay, Karina will, and then hopefully we can start that process and move forward. And thank you for doing that, Debbie. Much appreciated. Is Mr. Bahan happen to be on Zoom yet? No. Okay, then we're just gonna continue on then. Next up is planning board goals. So Debbie put together a great list and much appreciated. I'm gonna let her kind of give a high level on it. I know we just got it today, so we're gonna discuss it more in depth at the meeting on the 13th. So, Debbie.
Okay, actually, can we bring up the document, Colleen?
What?
Are we able to bring up the document?
For the
goal-
tree?
The goal document?
Yep. Sorry.
So what this is I had been working with Mimi Luttrell previously on just sort of capturing some of the, many activities that are ongoing, with the board, coming out of things like town meeting where we said, oh, okay, that's great, and, next time let's do this next thing, and just trying to capture like the amount of activity that's going on the board. And as I started to do it, there's never really a good time to come, so there's not as much happening tonight. This is a good night. But I just wanted to let you know that I started to draft a goal document, and what I used was the Conservation Commission. Melissa Danza had a similar document where she basically came up with some goals for the year. There's things that the commissioners were working on probably already, and also master plan goals. And so I came across it because I was working with her on her master plan goals. So essentially what I'm, suggesting that, the board may want to, for the next meeting is take a look at some of the things that I've captured. I would say, trying to put together like a priority list, what we want to accomplish in this, fiscal year 2027, or do we want to, throughout 26. Having to do with some of these very things that we've been already talking about. updating our GIS, you know, with tree layer, you know, Karina mentioned OneDrive. We've been talking about, you know, different ways of, you know, what we're doing with our applications, zoning articles that we want to take care of, and really also getting back to master plan goals to see, you know, what we have left there. By the way, we've accomplished a lot of the
Yeah.
master plan goals, so
That's
I've
great.
just captured the ones that are sort of still ongoing, many having to do with housing and things like this. So this is what this is. You know, I'm sure I forgot something in there, or maybe there's too much detail, but it's just to sort of introduce you to sort of this process of, you know, what I see other towns doing, and what I see, you know, conservation doing, and what conservation does is they take a look at their goals like every couple, you know, quarterly or twice a year, and they're basically just checking in. And, you know, I really think that the benefit is that, you know, there's a lot of us that are, I mean, all of us are actually involved in a lot of things. And so this is a way to just, you know, put it down on paper, and if something becomes a priority that we say, okay, we really need to get that thing done, and we can kind of like all come together and get it done. And you know, and as a group, we decide what's the priority and maybe what the time frame is. So that's what this document's all about, and we're not really gonna talk about the details tonight, but if you could look at it for the next meeting, and, you know, I don't know if you wanna send me, you know, your thoughts in between, that would be great. Can we do that? We can do that, right? Individually? No?
I would say do it through Karina,
Do it
only
through Karina?
because it could be a quorum of the board sending you their
Okay.
opinions. So I think if anybody has anything that they'd like to add, do it through Karina, Deb, and I think then you can just
Okay.
distribute it through her. But that's how we always did it on the select board. That way, there's never a question
Yeah.
of Tom's opinion of giving you something, what he thinks should be on there, and the board may not agree, and
Okay.
it just, again, it's
Yeah.
just a
Can I
cleaner.
add something?
Go ahead.
So it's interesting this comes up because in the Mass Planners Forum, there's an online forum for planners. And one of the things that just came up, and I don't know if some of you on that, but people were saying what you were just talking about, the planning board members responding. And what I got out of it, most of the advice says, go through the planning department, through the planner, so that Colleen and I will culminate your comments, and then we can distribute it as information for a
Correct.
meeting. That way, there's no serial communication for open meeting law violation. We try really hard to meet all those stuff.
She said it much more eloquently than I did. But,
no.
yes, thank you, Karina.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I think, Debbie, thank you for taking the time and putting all this together. And it is good to see, as I flipped through it, that there are a lot of things being done. So I think that that's great. So anything people may want to add, shoot that to Karina, and, you know, we'll get it put in the document, and, you know, we'll have a healthy discussion on it. And, you know, I think that there's things probably all of us would like to see in the forthcoming year. So, Debbie, thank you.
My pleasure.
Once again, actually, I should go down the line, sorry about that. Marnie, did you have any comments or questions?
No, I saw it earlier. I'm looking through it now. It looks pretty comprehensive,
Yeah.
and it sounds like, Debbie, you've tried to think about different areas. The one thing that I just think about is how, like, from a town planner's perspective, like, I see our town planner is just swamped.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
and I don't know if that's something that either we can kind of actively take on projects or things like that, but I think that should be a goal, is actually how to alleviate our town planner so she can actually do the strategy and the stuff that
Yeah.
we are positioning her for, so she's not kind of drowning in a lot. And I know that the developers in this town have benefited from a lot of the time, like 3-4 hour sessions that Karina spends going detailed review. I don't think we necessarily want to change that, but I do think as a planning board, we should think about, you know, what should be the goals and expectations for Karina, because I think it's really challenging for her to kind of continue to accomplish on a sustainable level what she does every day.
That's great.
Thank you, and I think some of these goals will actually help too, because as we streamline some efforts, and it'll help.
Great. Alan?
Thank you, Marty.
I don't have any comments. I, like all of us, just looking at it for the first time, but
Yep.
I'll try to have something substantial by next time.
Thank you. Tom?
Well, thank you, Debbie, for putting this together. It's pretty comprehensive.
It is.
I guess my thought is when I go back to do homework, what I'll be focusing on is based on these goals that you put together. I'd love to learn what other committees and other, what other committees and other boards are thinking about in terms of their priority match with ours, because I think it might take a village, right, to get it
Yeah.
done in 1 year, in 2027. So that's what we're looking at.
Thank you.
And I do have a question. So, as a planning board member, how can we communicate with the select board, with everybody else? Do we talk to them individually, or do we go to the meetings? Help me walk through that, please, from a.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you are looking.
Regarding the goals here.
Regarding the goals, well, if there were goals that cross over to select board, I would think, as we get into a more in-depth discussion on it, we could certainly invite them, to see where there's cross, with the goals.
Yeah, common interests.
Yeah, and see if there's things, I know they just had their goal setting meeting, I think that's, you can always go to any board and committee, but I think this planning board has strived really hard to be collaborative, with other boards and committees, ZBA, I think we work really well with them, we have a lot of, again, the same, goals, so.
Excuse my ignorance, so they just had their planning board, is that public information that we can review?
The select board's
Yeah,
goals?
what their goals were?
Yeah,
I can just
I'm not sure if they have them
rewatch.
online yet, but there was in their last packet, I think they had the list of goals in there.
Excellent.
So, yeah, you
Thank
can
you.
always check their packet as well.
Thanks.
And a big thing, we try to be very collaborative with the other admins. For example, down at the building department, right, like Lara and, and Kelly, Katie Barry
Katie,
is
yeah.
there, and Melissa's a conservation agent, and we have land use meetings every month now. And in those, we learn a lot of things, but you're right, is not really a direct connection to
Mhm.
select board, but, when we do things, like we tend to email them to Mark Purple, and I'll copy the chair, so that they can decide if they wanna pass things on. Maybe if they do some of that too, we'd be privy to some of those lists, and then we could distribute them here as well. So I can talk to Mark and say, maybe, hey, if you have goals like that, can you send us a copy? And then,
Thank you.
then I know what meeting they're at, and I'm not hunting it down, so.
Sure, I mean, we're not.
And I think, Tom, too, I think that brings up an interesting point, that, we're all working in silos. So
And we
maybe
shouldn't.
once a year or, or so, we do invite the select board here. And, maybe ZBA or whoever, Concom even, and just, find out what's going on with everybody and how we can work better together, more productively together. So that's actually a good point. Very good question. So, okay. So thank you, Debbie, for doing this, and it'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, next up, 250 Turnpike Road. Good evening, Mr. Banan. Maybe I always said it, so now I'm worried I'm not saying it right.
I know, you're first to go now.
Holy smokes. Good evening, welcome. And I'll have Karina give us an update, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember what year it was, but 250 Turnpike was an office condo. I'm not going to take it all the way back in or every way. Was an office condo that Ferris Development purchased. That may not be the entity's name, but David Ferris purchased and turned into beehive storage. In doing so, he had to come and get site plan approval here. When he did that, it was over the winter season, and he was looking for a temporary certificate of occupancy to get some of the people working already over the Christmas holiday. And so they, Ferris Development came up with a bond amount that covered certain features that they felt were critical. It didn't include all the features because it hadn't been vetted by our town's consultant, who usually does the review. Anyway, so they came up with a significant bond at the time, and the planning board voted to approve recommending it for a temporary certificate of occupancy.
That's
right. So that was for the storage facility itself. Then Ferris Development wanted to add to the site a contractor bay building. I think it was 10 units, if I recall.
Correct, yeah.
10 units. And kind of in the lower parking lot. So that was a modification? Or did it come through as a
It was a
site
new
plan?
site plan.
It was a new site plan, adding a second building, and they had to go to zoning and get approval for a special permit for 2 buildings on 1 lot, and they got that, and so they went through that process. That hasn't started construction yet, although, and I don't think we even had a pre-construction yet.
We did have a pre-construction
Yes, we
meeting
did.
on that,
Yeah.
and I can update the
You
board
can
too.
update, yeah, so we did have a pre-construction meeting, and you were gonna start landscaping, but I think that got kinda on hold, because the 40B project that's proposed on the lot south of this one,
Correct.
just got approved by the ZBA, right? So, and that project, the 40B, is accessed from Route 9 through the storage facility property.
Mhm.
And the storage facility is where the upper lot is the beehive with this larger storage building. And then there was a walkway down to the lower lot that goes over some wetland,
That's right.
right? And has deteriorated, so they're working on something else with Concom to try and mitigate that. But then the lower lot has the contractor's bay building. So there's no TCO for that because there's no building yet, so we're still talking about the original temporary certificate of occupancy. So Tom wasn't here yet, and I'm not sure, but we reduced the bond. The
Mhm.
planning board approved to reduce the bond from 80 down to 21 for some remaining landscaping and some features like that, right?
It really encompasses, that remaining 21 really encompasses the entire site plan, because it's one site plan right now.
Yeah.
Right, it's not a modification, so,
Right, and some
um,
things
the
change.
way I view it is everything has to be completed for us to get the remaining bond money back.
Yeah, and then there'll be a final as-built with a final as-built review and all that. So, peer review fees were provided in order to make this happen for an as-built, for a bond estimate to be established.
right,
And
yeah.
verify what else was there, which then got mitigated. And I think there were a couple of notices where it was extended for 90 days. I spoke with the building commissioner, and he does not object, and we talked about a proper amount of time, and he agreed that 90 days, and George was kind of asking for that initially, 90 days
Mhm.
was the proper amount to keep the project moving forward, so we would revisit it again later. But I think it's important the planning board vote to, if they decide to recommend to the building to extend the temporary certificate of occupancy another 90 days, so that they can continue now, since they just got the 40B approved and have to kind of regroup a little about
Mhm.
what you're gonna do there.
Correct.
So that was my
Okay.
That was
recollection.
excellent.
There we go. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything to what Karina has said?
Sure, yeah, so it's George Bonan here on behalf of the applicant, FD 250 Turnpike LLC. Karina, thank you, you did a great job. I think I'll just tell the board, the impediment right now from like moving forward with the contractor's yard, which ultimately is what would allow us to finish the site, complete the site plan, and move on to the next project, which would be the 40B, which we'll probably do simultaneously in the next year, is the septic system on the lower lot. So the bridge, as this board may be aware, is deteriorating. So we had to think of a plan moving forward, how we're gonna solve the septic issue, both for the self-storage facility and the contractor's yard in the lower level. We were lucky enough to find a small piece of area behind the self-storage facility, which would, that has perked informally. Now we're moving forward with formal perk tests with the town. We would like to build a septic system there that would serve the self-storage facility solely. That way we would be able to take down the bridge, remove the piping that underneath the bridge that connects the septic tank to the septic system, the septic tank on the upper lot to the septic system on the lower lot. So we'd be able to get rid of all of that because we'd have a brand new septic system on the upper lot, on the southern portion of that parcel. So we're just waiting for it to dry up a bit, and then we can move forward with that. And then we'll start constructing the contractor's yard at that point. And then hopefully, in the next year, we'll have that done and complete, and we'll be able to come in and ask for a full CO. But in the time being, we thought another temporary 90-day extension of the temporary certificate of occupancy would be the right thing to do, and I imagine we'll probably have a few more of those. And the building inspector typically comes out and just checks the site, makes sure everything is okay, and then he approves it. But I understand we've had about three or four extensions thus far, so I'm sure the board wanted to see us.
Thank you. Just one quick question. When does the current TCO expire?
I believe it expired like a week
Okay.
ago or 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, great, thank you. So, Mr. Murray?
Hi there, George. Good to see you tonight. I had a question about it's called a tight tank, right? What you're trying to do? Okay.
No, we're not trying to do a tight tank. We tried to do that.
Okay.
The Concom had voted it down.
Oh, okay.
We're actually doing a full septic system. There's enough area behind the self-storage facility that's perking that will enable us to build the smallest tank you
Okay.
can, not tank, system you can to serve the self-storage facility.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I know it was sort of like a last resort to go with those tight tanks. So does this mean that, is that something, are you working with the Department of Health?
Board of Health, we are,
Board of
yes.
Health on that too? Okay.
Yes, James, our engineer and soil tester, I think there's an actual technical name for it, but we'll just call him soil.
Evaluator,
There you go.
soil evaluator.
He's been out there a couple times, and he's determined it's probably a good time to test. Of course, there's a monsoon outside right now, which is probably going to delay things maybe a couple more weeks, but in the very near future, we'll have Dennis Costello from the Board of Health out there to do an official perk testing. And then hopefully it perks and we can move forward with the septic system.
Okay, great. And I'm in favor of the extension, and that would be from what date? So it would be 30 days from the date that it lapsed, or 30 days from today?
90 days
Oh,
from
I'm
the
sorry,
date it
90, I'm sorry,
expired.
90.
I would imagine from the date it expired.
90 from
Yeah,
the date it expired.
Just to keep it clean.
Yep.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Houlihan?
Hi, George.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good to see you. Okay, so can you just, with this septic tank, that changes the site plan for the current construction yard?
Well, it does, but in a very de minimis way, I'd say.
Okay.
The trenches that were displayed or shown on the site plan are still there. Now we're just gonna use less of them. So I think there's like maybe, I'm sorry, don't quote me on this, but there might be like 7 or 8 trenches on the lower lot. Because we don't need that size anymore, we'll be able to do away with 2 or 3 of them. Because now the contractor's yard is not gonna have as much of an intense flow, right? Because now it's no longer serving the self-storage facility. And that's kind of what we've been waiting on, is so we can lessen the flow intensity in the bottom lot.
Okay, so then how does that affect what we expect from you? So we're doing this modification of site plan, right? And
Mhm.
so your as-built will not reflect your approved plan.
Yeah,
So are you gonna come back?
you know, it's up to the board. In my understanding is with minor changes, what I would say something like this, we can reflect them in our as-built, and the board can vote to approve those at that stage. And Karina could chime in on that if she'd like.
So, just, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
for clarity, the Beehive is getting its own septic system,
Correct.
and it's located on the east side.
That's right, yes. West side.
Oh, it's on the west
Yes,
side.
it's right behind the self-storage facility. But now you bring up a good point. Yeah, we're gonna have a new septic system there. We'll probably come in for a site plan modification.
Okay.
I wasn't even
So-
thinking of that septic system.
So
Yeah.
before you
I was thinking.
continue that,
Mhm.
so the Board of Health approves the septic systems, right? I'm not sure how that works, if it would, you think it would require a whole modification? Because the Board of Health approves it, and as long as they're not impacting like the parking spaces,
Which it won't.
egress, ingress, you're changing curbing or anything, because they can build these underneath paving.
Yeah.
They can build them underneath the grass. I don't think you can't put it under a structural retaining wall or anything like that.
No,
But you can put it under paving with certain H20 voting
correct.
ratings.
But if I might stop you in your tracks, Karina, it's almost a non-issue because we were anticipating coming back in for a modification because
Oh,
we
yeah.
made some slight adjustments to the property lines when we were
40
creating the 40B lot.
Right.
So we'll just
Yeah.
address it then.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yes,
was my other
Okay.
question.
All
then
right.
it would pick it up, but yeah.
All right,
Good
okay,
point.
and so we've got the Board of Health on board, so we have two, septic systems going in, one for Beehive, one for contractor yard.
That's correct, yep.
And then obviously you'll need to build your 40B for the rental units. And then as long as structurally that doesn't change anything, conservation will still need to review the septic plan too, to make sure it doesn't impact any of that.
Conservation may not, because
Okay.
we have a current order of conditions. I mean, I'll touch base with James and see if he feels as though we do need to,
Yeah,
and
I
then maybe
think,
he'll connect
remember
with.
there was a lot of like water flow
Yeah.
stuff
Mhm.
back there.
There is a lot of water flow.
Yeah,
back
that's my only concern with some of those changes, is just making sure that we check all those boxes, but, otherwise, I'm fine with the 90-day extension.
If it's in the buffer.
Right,
So
right.
Title V, there's certain distances you have to be from the wetland, and then depending on Melissa's setup, she may be able to administratively approve that, or if it's more intense and it affects your order conditions, you may
Yeah.
need to amend those, I think, but she'd be the best person to.
And we have previously received an administrative approval on that site specifically from Melissa,
Beehive or the contractor's yard?
the Beehive.
The Beehive,
Yeah,
okay.
so, and actually, it's both, really.
Right,
It shares the same order of conditions. So we'll reach out to her and see what she wants us to do, and whatever she wants us to do, we'll do it.
great, thank you.
Mr. Belknap?
Okay, good to see you, George.
You too, Alan.
Couple just more clarification questions. What sort of septic capacity does the contractor yard by itself now, because it's not joined with the self-storage facility? Like, what does it need for gallons per day?
It's not a lot. It's really, there are sinks, and I don't know the exact flow for it, but it has a couple sinks, not a couple, it has 10 sinks, one for each bay, and I believe a toilet as well. So the gallons per day is very minimal.
Okay.
And I can tell you, comparatively speaking to the self-storage facility, that flow is very low as well. So just generally just a low flow site. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head though.
That's fine. And then along with that, so now each site would, if all goes well, effectively have its own septic system, one for the self-storage, one for the contractor's yard. Is what's currently on what would now be the severed contract yard parcel already adequate for what's there, because now it's carrying half the load, or?
Correct. It's actually, it's more than adequate. That's why we wanna
Okay.
eliminate some of the trenches if we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, and then, can you just walk me through, I think you said earlier, and I may have misunderstood, about access to the 40B parcel
Mhm.
through that parcel?
Yeah, it's a very simple design. If you take a look at one of our 40B plans, you'll see the access easement, but it shares the same entrance as the contractor's yard
Mhm.
entrance, and it just, almost in an S shape, finds its way to the back of the parking lot, and then that'll enter into the 40B site.
Okay.
So, that's how it's designed. Beyond that, there's nothing much.
Okay, and is that, and now I'm bleeding into that project a little bit, but just so I'm
That's fine.
clear, is that gonna be viewed as like a secondary access for the 40B, or like emergency access for the 40B?
No, that'll be its primary
Primary,
access for
oh,
the
okay.
40B, yeah.
Okay,
And only access, if I might say that too. It's the only access. We don't have another access, even an emergency access onto Parkerville or anything
okay,
like that.
obviously I'm forgetting at the moment, that's why. Okay, that was it, thanks.
Alan, just to add if I may.
Yep.
There's a special permit, ZBA special permit, I think that restricts access from 250 Turnpike to Parkerville.
Correct.
Back in from the 80s or 90s,
Yep.
which still holds. So that's why they had
That's
to
why
come
it's-
through
okay.
Route 9.
Can make a note to go.
Mr. Trump?
Thank you.
No further questions from me.
Great, thank you. Marnie actually touched on some of the questions I had, as far as the modification with the changing of the lot and the 40B. So just, we'll be expecting you to come back in for that.
Absolutely.
And I am definitely supportive of, doing the additional 90 days. I think you guys have worked in good faith on this, and I think it definitely benefits the town for us to do
Thank
that.
you.
Could I
So-
ask one?
Sure, go ahead.
George, is it the intent to maybe divide that lot into 2 parcels in the future?
I'm so glad you asked that. Yes, it is. So we're setting it up to A&R it. So you'll see an A&R in front of you very shortly. We're getting it surveyed at the moment. We figure we'll do, in the A&R, we'll include the property line adjustments. So
Okay.
those will be done, and then the septic should be approved, and then I think at that time, it's appropriate to come back in for site plan modification.
Okay,
Perfect, good, thank you.
so we have a motion, Ms. Maria.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to make a recommendation to the building inspector to extend the temporary occupancy permit for 250 Turnpike Road storage facility for an additional 90 days
From the date of,
from the date of expiration.
perfect, thank you.
Second with comment?
Yep.
I just wanna compliment you for making progress on
Yeah.
the conditions that we provided. People do come and ask for temporary extensions, or extensions on their TCO, and they do not make progress. So
Yeah.
thank you for paying it forward and being collaborative with the planning board and
Thank you,
Southborough.
thank you. It's been really great working with you. Karina actually said I can zoom in, but I wanted to come see you guys face to face.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, used to see you more.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Braccio, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Dolniak, yes?
Strong, yes.
Great,
Thank
thank you.
you.
And then we have one other thing, if you mind,
don't
just,
leave it.
yeah,
And just, I will provide a notice of vote for that and also, upload it, so you have official document
Great,
recommended
thank
to
you,
the-
yeah. I'd love to know the dates. At this point, I don't know the exact date of when it expired.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
and what we want you to stay is Karina had under the planner's report, 118,
Fresh Monkey.
Yes,
Fresh Monkey. So we wanna make sure we take care of that while you're here
great,
as well.
thank you.
Go ahead, Karina.
Okay, and then we have, so for Fresh Monkey, so if you recall, Fresh Monkey was moving into 118 Turnpike, and it was, came for site plan, for a change of use, and it's interior changes only. So one of the last remaining conditions was to provide an engineer certifying letter that the project was completed in compliance with all the conditions and the
Correct.
approval. And George sent me that letter. I forwarded it to the planning board members. I reviewed it myself, and it meets everything that I think is required. So in my opinion, it's satisfactory in order to allow recommendation for a full certificate of occupancy for Fresh Monkey at 118 Suite 101 still? or-
Sweet 101, yep.
Yeah.
So do we need a vote for that, Karina, or
I think it can't hurt,
it can't hurt?
because we're accepting it like an as-built. In this case, there was no like site as-built. This replaces that. It's an engineer's letter. So
Okay,
that's-
so we'll go down the line first with any questions or comments. Deb?
I don't have any comments.
Okay, Marnie?
Excited for Fresh Monkey.
I know.
So,
Two of us.
yeah,
Very much
that's
so.
great. Congratulations.
Great location next to
Yeah.
Beatone as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Belniak?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Trump?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, so Karina, what would you like the motion to include? And then we have to sign these?
No, it's just a letter and just
Okay,
a formality saying,
okay, so what would you like the motion to
I'm
include?
gonna say it, let me see,
Just so we get this done for
Take
you.
your time.
so in accordance with for 118 Turnpike Suite 101 for Fresh Monkey, I believe it was a major site plan.
I think it was a minor.
Minor.
A
actually,
minor,
yeah.
because it was under 2,000.
That's right.
Minor site plan that the planning board accepts the engineer's certifying letter to meet the last condition, I forget the number of it.
8.
Number 8,
Yeah.
for recommending temporary, full occupancy for the project, because they've completed everything that was required.
So moved.
I know, that's perfect.
I was gonna try it, but I was like, you know what, this keeps going on and on, I'm not gonna get all that.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. By seeing none, all in favor, Braccio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Dolniak, yes.
Strong, yes.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
George.
so much, George, we appreciate you coming in. Okay, so that being said, that takes us to planner's report.
Okay, let me just catch up here. That's done. That's done. So, similar to 96 Mount Vickery, 200 Turnpike is a contractor facility. If you recall, that was a landscaping and snow removal business, Jonathan Crandall. And Peter Bemis was working with him, and they are, at one of the last meetings, the board accepted that they would provide a $30,000 bond to cover the remaining landscaping at the site. Some of it was installed, but some didn't make it, so the goal was that they would replant everything necessary by October 1st of this year, with a 1-year look back on October 1st, 2027, to make sure everything is still surviving, and that's what the bond is held for. So when we have a bond now, town council requires a surety agreement to accompany it with the terms. They provided a surety agreement for site plan, a little different from subdivision, but similar, which town council reviewed. I sent it to everybody today. We've been working on it for a couple of weeks, so everything's been accepted by town council. It's good to go. It just requires planning board to accept it and then sign it. And then I'll be able to get a copy to the building commissioner, who will then allow them their certificate of occupancy. It's been a long road, but they kept working and moving and got across the goal line with tonight.
So we need to accept the surety agreement and recommend the TCO.
Yes, and
Okay.
I have the copies for you to sign.
Mr. Murray.
Okay, so for 200 Turnpike, MSPCA surety agreement, I make a motion to accept the surety agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second?
Yeah.
And if I can add, recommend, we already did the full TCO on that. We don't have to
It's,
recommend
no, they have a temporary,
that. Okay, so this is for the full,
right,
so
this is for the
if
full.
we could add that down,
As amended to recommend the full,
TCO.
So accept the
Occupancy
surety agreement,
Yeah.
and then recommend to the building commissioner, full occupancy permit. Let me just verify here, hold on, let me check to sure that's what it is, cause there's a couple of these, and, wanna make sure, based on what I'm telling you.
I thought we did the full one in our last meeting,
No, we.
with the condition of,
Did we?
It
Oh,
was
you were-
temporary.
was it temporary still?
Let me
And
see.
then, yes,
Okay.
and then it had to convert with the bond.
Oh, this was a condition for
For the
the
full.
full. So on June 3rd, I wrote a notice of vote. Please
Okay.
be advised that at its meeting on June 1st, the planning board members voted unanimously in favor of recommending to the building commissioner to issue a certificate of occupancy related to the 2025 modification site plan, blah, blah, blah. Upon review and discussion, the planning board agreed to accept a surety bond in the amount of $30,000 along with a surety agreement and recommend a certificate of occupancy upon receipt of the following items and conditions.
Okay.
Owner to provide a surety bond in the amount of 30, it's here.
Yep.
Along with a surety agreement to be satisfactorily reviewed by town council,
Yep.
that's here. The plantings, landscaping improved, they're going to be, completed by October 1st, 2026, which I just was talking about. And then 1 year from
Right.
2026, site will be revisited. Upon receipt of the surety bond and executed surety agreement approved by town council, the planning board will recommend to the building commissioner to proceed with the certificate of occupancy with the conditions as stated above.
okay, so the motion is gonna be for 200 Turnpike, hang on a second. 200 Turnpike,
Contractors facility.
contractor's yard to accept the surety agreement, and make a recommendation to the building inspector for a permanent occupancy permit
Based on the remaining conditions.
based on the remaining conditions.
Second.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Brascio, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Belniak, yes.
Yes.
Great.
And would you like to sign
We'll
this right
sign
now?
as you go to the next item, how's that?
Sounds good.
Efficient. Marnie started it, we're just gonna keep doing it.
Just make it easy.
Let's go.
Okay, is it just the one signature?
I have 2 copies
Okay.
that we have the record of all of
I should have a pen. Thank you.
Make sure it's all together, so I don't lose it. Hold on a second.
All right,
Oh my God, I
thank you.
just forgot my name, that's so right.
What's my last name?
What did we put the date for that, okay?
Okay.
All right, and the next so another update, this is St. Mark's Dormitory. That was permitted and built, and, they've been functioning under temporary certificate of occupancy. They had a change of, thank you. They had a change of, their CFO, Rob Kuklowitz, had left last year already, and there's a new, Elizabeth Dion is the new CEO, CFO. Anyway, as she got up to speed, the as-bills were revised as required by Fuss and O'Neill comment letter. There were some remaining landscaping things that were addressed, and they shouldn't, so I reviewed that and it looks good. I did send it to Fuss and O'Neill to see if they would do the final review, which should just simply be a letter saying, yes, everything looks good. But in, looking at the photos that they supplied, it was very minor landscaping things. The building commissioner, when I spoke to him, I said it would be all right to issue a full occupancy permit. It's been 5 years. They had provided a bond. They worked really well with the town, accommodating and addressing any deficiencies, did straight native species. There were a couple trees they still had to plant. They did that all. So very collaborative. We made some good leeway out of plantings and everything for future projects as well. So when I spoke with Lisa as the chair to confirm that that would be appropriate, that it was, because everything was in order. It met the conditions. And once Fuss and O'Neill, if they do agree to do a final response, then we'll have that in the record anyway, but it would be very minimal. Usually it's like a final, all comments are addressed. So.
Karina, what was that, which project was that again?
It's the St. Mark's Residence Life Building, the
Okay.
dormitory
Yeah.
right across the street from
Thanks.
the library.
And it was
And-
minor things outstanding.
Extremely minor. They had to plant 2 trees. Another plant died. Some of the shrubs were next to the HVAC, a little too close, so they had to replant them because they died, but they just moved them slightly, a couple feet further, so they didn't get the constant airflow. Very minor. And most of them had already been talked about previously with the prior CFO.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so do I have both of these now?
You do. Tom brought you one already.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Thanks.
Twice he got up. Got his steps in.
Sorry, a little tired. Okay, quickly, keep going here. Costco,
Absolutely.
well, anyway, Costco submitted to the ZBA for, variances for the light heights and, being over 20 feet, and for retaining wall structures that are over 6 feet tall are considered structures, so they're encroaching on some of the setbacks. So they're looking for relief from the ZBA. I believe it's July 15th is the ZBA meeting, so if anybody has any comments on those, we can provide them to the ZBA for recommendation. Pretty straightforward. And in the meantime, I believe they're still working on, once they get through that, they'll come to, for site plan for the Costco, which will be a good thing. Okay, keep thinking it's another project. Performance evaluations went in, and the personnel board voted last Wednesday, I think, to approve the 5% increase for town employees and staff and such. So that was good, and that's effective July 1st. And I'm happy to say that sometimes in the past, our reviews went in a little after July 1st, and then we would get a reimbursement. But this year, everything was in, and I think last year too, before the deadline. So we scrambled and got those in. And thank you, Marty, for help on those. That was super helpful for me. There are potential warrant articles brought up by Jim Hegarty. One, he was talking about short-term rentals because they've been having some difficulties in town with some residences having lots of cars and lots of people. It's probably also a Board of Health concern for septic use and all that kind of stuff. So I'm bringing that to the attention to see if it's something. He did say that he gave me a town with a sample where he said it was perfect. You could probably just take that and use it and do the same thing. But we'll see, we'll see where that goes.
So that got shot down significantly in the ADU. When we proposed a lot of the rewrite around ADU,
Yeah.
that got shot down. That was one of the big, like, the citizens didn't like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be a difficult thing.
To allow or?
To limit
Restrict.
short-term rentals.
Oh, to limit?
Yes.
Right.
I forgot about that, you're
Yeah,
right.
so I think that's gonna be an extraordinarily, big hurdle.
Tough, a heavy lift.
And I'm
Yeah.
not volunteering to do it.
Just out of curiosity, is it Jim that suggested we consider it, or did someone else
He
bring this
brought
up?
it to mind, I'll have to talk to him more, but often those types of zoning changes would come from ZBA, who would say, we think the town is looking for this or not, and then the planning board holds a public hearing, versus us coming up with a warrant.
And the building inspector in his note for the meeting on the 8th mentioned specifically the short-term rentals, and they've gotten complaints on them,
Okay.
so.
Alright,
Yeah.
so there is a source, I guess
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure it was coming from somewhere, not just someone thinking,
Yeah,
hey, we should take a
No,
look. 'cause
Jim
that'd be-
happened to mention it to me when we were talking
Okay.
about something else, because, there's also the one that we're gonna talk to Mark Robidoux about, signs on Route 9.
Yeah.
We, requiring site plan, there was an idea of that, so I have no detail on it yet, other than
Yep.
these are some, high bird's eye view topics. There's still the 55+ bylaw that had worked on previously, that was on hold because, Freddie Gillespie had mentioned some very viable things to consider,
Yeah.
as part of that bylaw.
And just separately, I did, speak with,
Ellen?
yes. And I said I would do a bunch of things that I have not done yet. So, I don't think that's gonna make 2026 though. I think it needs
I don't think
like a
so.
significant,
Yeah.
so I think
Cycle.
that's gonna be annual town
That's a
meeting,
big
yeah.
one, yeah.
Sorry, Ellen.
I just wanted to add too, I've been publicly kind of out on this, that, the state doesn't really support, expanding the use of over 55, it's considered exclusionary zoning. And so the idea now is to really think about zoning in a way that includes families. So, I think also I feel that one's gonna be a little bit of a hard sell for some people like me, because as you know, I didn't really support it. Mr. Gillespie brought up a really good point, though, when she made that comment about how it excludes a whole bunch of other things that we hadn't been thinking about. So I just really even wonder whether that's where we want to put our effort.
Yeah.
It's there, it's on the books, maybe it's not perfect, but I think we should probably leave it alone. Personally.
Okay.
All right, keep going,
Thanks, Debbie. 250 Turnpike Road, 40B ZBA decision. I did look through the conditions and I didn't see anything requiring modification, but it appears that George represented this evening that they're well aware that they have to come back. And it's a condition in the Contractors Bay site plan, when they added that, there's a condition specifically citing, they need to. 0 Northborough Road, it has a ZBA application in. There's kind of a landlocked parcel owned by, no, I think he's looking to buy, it's the
Johnson?
Johnson property,
Okay.
and there's a DCR easement, there's an easement across the DCR property on one side from Northborough Road that's about 15 or 16
Yeah.
feet wide. He's looking to, interested in maybe splitting that into 2 lots with a common driveway across there, but I don't know how that would work with an A&R. So Lara Davis, ZBA's admin, has a question into town council about several questions related to that application. So we'll see what happens with that. Either it comes to us for an A&R or it doesn't. We'll figure that out. Then the date for the special town meeting was determined by the select board at their Tuesday, June 16th meeting. So special town meeting Saturday, October 17th, 2026 at 10 a.m. And the annual town meeting is right now set for March 20th, a Saturday. They're both Saturdays. March 20th at 2027 at 10 a.m. Both at the Trotter Middle School auditorium, just so you know. I'll deal with that offline. There's the zoning amendment. The 40B, when 250 40B passed, the SHI needs to be updated with new units, and I forwarded that information to the Affordable Housing Trust so they could take that responsibility. They have questions when they saw the email. I think they got a little bit scared.
Well, the email was great, I will say. Karina did a very detailed, like, step by step. So, yeah, there's a lot that has to be done, but I commend you, Karina, for taking the time to put that together for them.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to answer some questions, but if they go through it once, they'll see that they can do it.
Yep.
It's just a step by step, and the EOHLC is very helpful. They'll answer any questions. And I do have the select board goals we talked about before, and there's been no update on the MWRC engagements and communications project that I think Mimi was tracking at the time. So I think that's gonna take longer for them because they haven't updated anything. They usually talk and send out an email and say, here's what we're doing, and then they'll ask for something if they need something. So we're a little more proactive, reactive to that one. And that's it. We have one set of minutes.
Okay. Let's pull up the set of minutes from June 1st, 2026. Does anyone have any edits to the minutes?
No.
Okay, Debbie?
No.
Alan?
None.
Tom?
Nope.
Okay, Ms. Houlihan. I'm sorry, Ms. DeMaria.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
make
so
a
used to
motion.
Marty making the motion,
I know.
sorry.
Okay, make a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes from June 1st, 2026.
Second.
Okay, I see no discussion. All in favor, Brascio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Bellmiak, yes.
Yes.
Okay, our next meeting is July 13th. I just want to take say a couple things before we adjourn. First, I wanted to publicly thank Karina and Colleen. Since our last meeting, there's been a lot going on in the department, and I just want to thank you for all your hard work, and just know that we as a board really appreciate everything you do. We know you're overwhelmed, and you still get it done. So thank you very much to the two of you. It's very much appreciated, so
Thank you, that means
Nope.
a lot.
thank you, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And lastly, I'd like to just share, I know Marnie had let the board know that the select board chose not to reappoint Freddie Gillespie to the Open Space Preservation Commission. I just want to say Freddie has worked very hard and very long with this board. I was on the Open Space Commission for 12 years. Freddie was on it for 26. So there's been a lot of hard work and dedication that's gone into this. I think the town is going to suffer for all of the work and all of the things she did, to lose the amount of knowledge that Freddie brought to the table, and the dedication and how hard she worked to make Southborough a better place. You know, my family moved to Southborough because of the open space. We were sandwiched between, you know, busy Framingham and busy Westborough, and then kind of stuck in the middle is this quaint little town still. It still has a small town feel. Lots of green, lots of open space, you know, people aren't on top of each other, and Freddie's worked very hard at that. Chestnut Hill Farm, the golf course. So I just want to thank her for all of the hard work she's done and the work that she's done with this board. You know, I got on in 2005, you know, and at that point they were already reviewing subdivisions and for open space for the planning board. So I can't say enough good things for the work she did. I think it's a huge loss for the town, and I just say, Freddie, thank you for all your years of service. I hope that you're put, you know, on stewardship, because again, Breakneck Hill wouldn't be what it is today without Freddie. Freddie has spearheaded from, I don't know how long people have lived here, but if you remember back, it used to be an apple orchard full of invasives. And Freddie was instrumental in getting it to what it is today. That's such a beautiful space that, you know, hundreds and thousands of residents of the town, you know, use, and whether you use it or not, but to drive by, it's nice to see this. So I commend her, and I thank her for all she's done, and I'm sorry that she wasn't reappointed. So I just wanted to say that. If anyone wants to add anything, you can, but I just thought with the work that she's done with the planning board over the years, that she deserved an acknowledgement from this board. So if anyone wants to add, they can, or we can just leave it at that with the.
Yeah, I'd love to
Thank
just
you.
say, I second that. Thank you for saying that. I think, Freddie, you've been such a great collaborator for the planning board, and I think you've elevated our expectations at the people coming forward and planting, native species. You've kind of changed the dynamic around invasives here. We have like a honeybee population that's kind of reinvigorated. I think Southborough has become like a pinnacle for success in some of the things we've had. The Dark Skies Initiative with illumination. I mean, Freddie has touched many, many, many different things, and it's a shame that that the select board did not appoint her again to open space. And Freddie, I hope you can find time to take a deep breath and maybe take a nap and get some sleep, because you have put so much of your heart and your passion into this, and I hope that we find someone like Freddie, and the remaining open space can kind of take on what Freddie has started and complete a lot of those projects. So thank you for your support of us, and I wish you all the best, and thank you for everything that you've done for me as a resident of Southborough.
Okay, right, and we're good with that? Okay, and with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
And I second that motion.
Okay, I see no further discussion. I didn't think there would be. Roll call vote. Braccio, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Dolniak, yes.
And for the record, we beat it by 2 minutes from the last one.
Yeah, man.
Maybe you're our lucky guy.
I mean,
All right,
great.
planning board is adjourned. Thank you.
We're trending towards